The Manhattan Well murder trial of 1800 was also known as the Elma Sands murder case, sensational case in New York City's history, involving the disappearance and presumed murder of Elma Sands. Here's a detailed case study, covering the background, investigation, trial, and aftermath of this infamous legal saga. Is a notable legal proceeding in American history. Gully Elma Sands, often referred to as Elma Sands, was a young Quaker woman living in New York City, in Manhattan during the late 18th century. She was born in 1779 and grew up in the city. Described as attractive and well-liked, she worked as a seamstress and lived with her cousin Catherine Ring in Greenwich Village. 22-year-old Elma Sands was found dead at the bottom of a well in Manhattan in 1800. Disappeared on December 22, 1799. Gully Elma Sands disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Her body was later discovered on January 2, 1800, a well owned by Aaron Burr's Manhattan Company, located in what is now Soho, Manhattan. Levi Weeks, a carpenter who was romantically linked to her. The subsequent trial of Levi Weeks for her murder became a highly publicized event in New York City, drawing attention due to the involvement of Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton as defense and prosecution attorneys, respectively. She worked at a boarding house run by the Treadwell family, where she met Levi Weeks, a carpenter who also lived there. Weeks and Sands became romantically involved, which was scandalous due to their differing social statuses. On the evening of December 22, 1799, Gully Elma Sands was seen leaving her cousin's boarding house, supposedly to elope with Levi Weeks. However, she never returned home. Her body was discovered several days later in a well belonging to Levi Weeks' employer, Aaron Burr's Manhattan Company. She had been strangled and possibly drowned. Levi Weeks was immediately suspected of her murder and arrested. The case gained significant attention partly due to the social status of the parties involved and the involvement of prominent figures like Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton in the legal proceedings. Hamilton, who prosecuted the case, argued for Weeks' guilt, while Burr and his defense team mounted a vigorous defense, leading to an outcry in the community and the arrest of Levi Weeks. The case quickly became a sensation, partly due to the social prominence of the families involved and the salacious details surrounding the affair. The trial of Levi Weeks began on March 31, 1800, and it was a significant event due to its high profile and the involvement of prominent lawyers. This case became sensational due to its scandalous elements and the involvement of prominent figures of the time. Trial. The trial of Levi Weeks began on March 31, 1800, and was presided over by Judge John Lansing, Jr. It was a significant event due to its high profile and the involvement of prominent lawyer. Defense: Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Yes, the same Burr implicated in the location of the crime. Their defense strategy was to vigorously defend Weeks against the charges. They also focused on discrediting witness testimonies and creating doubt about the circumstances surrounding Sands' death. Hamilton and Burr argued that Weeks could not have committed the murder due to lack of motive and opportunity. They also challenged the credibility of witness testimonies and questioned the integrity of the investigation. Prosecution: Cadwallader D. Colden and Richard Riker. Prosecution: Colden and Riker presented circumstantial evidence, including witness testimonies that implicated Weeks. They argued that Weeks had motive and opportunity to commit the crime. Verdict: after a short deliberation of only 5 minutes, the jury acquitted Levi Weeks on April 2, 1800. The jury returned a verdict of not guilty. The acquittal was seen as a victory for Hamilton and Burr, who successfully defended Weeks against what seemed like overwhelming public opinion and suspicion through court reenactments. The 6-episode series highlights the flaws of Weeks's trial as a truth-finding process. The defense, for example, is heard admonishing Sands for having had premarital sex, describing her as risky and promiscuous, and arguing that those alleged characteristics mean she is more likely to have died by suede ice than murder. Legal precedent: the trial highlighted the importance of defense strategies and the role of circumstantial evidence in criminal cases. Public opinion. The case attracted significant public attention and shaped public discourse around justice and fairness in trials. Despite strong public sentiment against him, Levi Weeks was acquitted after a short deliberation by the jury, largely due to the lack of concrete evidence linking him to the crime. The trial is often cited in discussions about early American legal history and the evolution of the judicial system. Witnesses provided varying testimonies, some suggesting a rushed conclusion to implicate Weeks while others attempted to place him near the scene of the crime. The case underscored issues of class and gender, as Sand's social status and relationship with Weeks played a pivotal role in public perception. The murder of Elma Sands remains unsolved officially, although Weeks' acquittal is often cited as a miscarriage of justice. The case continues to fascinate historians and remains a prominent example of early 19th-century American criminal justice and societal attitudes towards crime and punishment. Levi Weeks, central to the infamous Manhattan Well murder case of 1799, was portrayed during his trial as a composed and articulate young man. Despite the gravity of the accusations against him, he displayed calmness and maintained his innocence throughout the proceedings. Weeks was described as having a good reputation in the community prior to the incident, which likely contributed to his defense team's arguments in court. His mental state during the trial reflected determination, as he faced intense scrutiny and a public eager for justice. Levi Weeks left New York City after the trial and moved to Natchez, Mississippi, where he became a successful architect. The case also influenced public perception of both Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, as it showcased their legal prowess and ability to handle high-profile cases. In summary, the Manhattan Well murder trial of 1800 remains a notable chapter in American legal history, demonstrating the complexities of early 19th-century criminal justice and the influence of prominent figures like Hamilton and Burr in shaping legal outcomes. Catherine showed immense bravery by putting her cousin's dead body on public display. She went against the tenets of her own Quaker faith in her attempt to offset, even slightly, the ridiculously lopsided power dynamic. It is increasingly disturbing to see Hamilton and Burr defended their client and deflected blame for the murder away from him. Comprehensive overview of the case, highlighting its key aspects and the broader implications for legal practice and social norms at the turn of the 19th century in America.